Presidential candidate Donald Trump praises Planned Parenthood, yet vows to defund them. And as you know, he won big in South Carolina, and it looks like he is going to be the nominee. We've got to deal with this, folks. I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance.
Those who forsake the law praise the wicked. Those who uphold the law resist them. Welcome to the Voice of Resistance. Here's your host, Randall Terry.
The political landscape is changing quickly. Jeb Bush, former governor of Florida, president and son of two former presidents, has withdrawn from the Republican primary. It was kind of sad to watch him go, just because it felt sad, like, wow, my big brother, my dad, they were presidents, and I'm clearly not going to be president right now. But I was glad. If you're a regular viewer of this program, you know that I have opposed Jeb Bush tooth and nail. It's very personal between him and I. He was the one that allowed Terri Schiavo to starve to death when he was governor. He had the legal authority to save her life, and he refused to do so. And then when I ran against the state senator from Florida, the Florida state senator, Jim King, I ran against him because he was the one who led the charge in the Senate to see her starved to death. When I did that, President Bush, or rather Governor Bush, opposed me and endorsed Jim King, the sitting senator at that time. So I tell you that, it's old news, but I tell it to you because people can say one thing but do something else. And that's what we're facing constantly with Republican candidates. As you know, Mitch McConnell said that he would not allow a vote to come to the Senate regarding an Obama pick for Supreme Court. There is already some waffling going on there. We'll get to that in the future. Back to the Republican primary. Donald Trump cleaned everyone's clock in South Carolina and took all the delegates. He won in all 7 congressional areas and therefore took all of the delegates. It is not a winner-take-all state, but he took them all, even though he did not have a clear majority for the state. The simple fact of the matter is that pundits, people who despise Donald Trump, have been prophesying his demise since the day he stepped into the race. Again, I told my viewers on this program at least 3, maybe 4 months ago that I believed that Donald Trump was going to be the nominee. I still believe he's going to be the nominee. And I explained why, and I'm going to explain it again for those who are just a little slow in the secular press that might be sneaking a peek at this program. He's winning because so many of us despise you. You, the Washington, New York corridor media elite, we despise the way you cover the news. We despise your agenda. We despise your ethics. We despise the fact that you don't have the integrity to show the American people what's really going on in abortion mills, that you don't cover the news regarding the horrific lifestyle that is involved with the homosexual movement. Okay? You sugarcoat lies and you hide truth. So we despise you. And we despise the cowardice and the treachery of the Republican establishment. Despise might be too weak a word. We feel contempt. We feel rage. And Donald Trump came along and said what we were thinking. Now, there are people who do not support Trump. I think Ted Cruz would be a better president for a lot of our issues. I think his moral compass is more soundly fixed than Mr. Trump's. I could be wrong. But from square one, I told you, the viewer, that Donald Trump was serving a huge purpose for us because he's saying the things that up until this campaign, you could not say and get away with. And so he says that there's a bunch of criminals and rapists coming over the southern border. We're going to build a wall. And boo, the Republican establishment, the Democratic establishment, the media establishment, they all come unglued. And what happens? Trump's numbers go up. Then he makes comments about the Second Amendment. People should have had guns inside San Bernardino and in Paris. His numbers go up. He says that we need to have a temporary ban on Muslims coming into the country. His numbers go up. He's showing, and then he takes on the media, he takes on the power elite. And meanwhile, you have this disaffected minority, but a large minority, that is cheering him on because of the rage we feel at the very people that he is mocking. And so we become not a silent amen corner. We become this throng, this mob of people saying yes. And that is why he doesn't budge. His numbers don't budge. And trust me, as one after another these people peel off and pull out, a portion of them are going to go to Trump. How can this man praise Planned Parenthood and still win South Carolina and beat Ted Cruz with the evangelical vote? I'll tell you why when I come back from this break. And we're going to show you a clip from CBN regarding Mr. Trump and Planned Parenthood. It's in some ways, it's political genius. Thanks to friends like you, we have state-of-the-art cameras and state-of-the-art teleprompters and state-of-the-art gear here in the studio. We have one big need, however. We have not yet been able to upgrade our computers. The computers that we use for a television broadcast or to create a documentary are not like the kind that you can just go buy at Best Buy. They are expensive because it takes so much horsepower to create TV series and or documentaries. So I'm asking you, if you want to see this show grow and you want to see us finish the What Would Muhammad Do series, help us get these computers. 3 computers that we need right now are going to be just shy of $20,000. That's the kind of horsepower that we need. Go to the GoFundMe page you see right there. Watch the pilot for What Would Muhammad Do? And if you like the show, give us a gift. If Donald Trump was going to create another business school or a school on politics, he might offer a course, How to Have Your Cake and Eat It Too 101. Because that's what he's been doing over and over. I love the vets. I don't like it when they get caught. John McCain, he's not a war hero, or maybe he's a hero, but he got caught. I don't like people who get caught. How to Have Your Cake and Eat It Too. Listen to this. Listen to this interview with Planned Parenthood. Now, about Planned Parenthood with CBN. Now, one other quick thing. In the debate on Saturday night in South Carolina, which seems like an eternity ago, on Thursday night of last week, Donald Trump praised Planned Parenthood. Now, in times past, that would be enough to be like a self-inflicted gunshot to end your campaign inside of the Republican Party, because the base is committed to pro-life and is committed to getting rid of Planned Parenthood. But this is political genius, what he did. Watch this clip.
Okay, so I want to clear a few things up on Planned Parenthood. Ted Cruz is hitting you hard on this, and you've said a couple different things. You've talked about how you are not for funding of Planned Parenthood because of the abortions that they do, but at the same time, you've talked about how, in essence, they do some nice things. And so, as a President Trump, if a bill came to your desk that would defund Planned Parenthood, you would support that? You would sign that?
Yes, because as long as they do the abortion, I am not for funding Planned Parenthood.
Even
but
if
they do cervical cancer work. They do a lot of good things for women. But as long as they're involved with the abortion, as you know, they're involved. Now, they say it's 3% of their work. Some people say it's 10%. Some people say it's 8%. I hear all different percentages, but it doesn't matter. As long as they're involved with abortion, as far as I'm concerned, forget it. But we have to remember, and I wouldn't fund them, regardless. But they do other good work. Okay, you look at cervical cancer. I've had women tell me they do some excellent work. So I think you have to also put that into account. But I would defund Planned Parenthood because of their view and the fact that they work on abortion.
Okay, because there are other groups beyond Planned Parenthood to do that fine work as well, so that could be farmed out and done.
That's right, but they do a big job. There are a lot of women that are taken care of by Planned Parenthood, so we have to remember that. But I am for defunding Planned Parenthood as long as they're involved with abortion.
Okay, so what has he done here? He has thrown a bone to the people who say, well, they do good work. What about breast cancer? What about cervical cancer? What about screenings? What about the good things that Planned Parenthood does? So I threw him a bone. It didn't cost him anything with the Republican base because he promised to defund them. Now, I'm going to use the rest of this segment to give you a quick primer on Planned Parenthood. There are people in DC called policy wonks. They're activists. And these are people like myself who focus like a laser beam on certain issues or certain people or certain organizations. I have been like that with Planned Parenthood. Done extensive research on them, fought their lawyers. The Planned Parenthood attorneys sued me and won, and they actually took my home. Okay, I lost my home to Planned Parenthood attorneys and to NOW attorneys. So I've got a stake in what I tell you, a personal stake. Planned Parenthood is the #1 baby killer in America, probably in the Western Hemisphere, and perhaps in the world, with the exception of the Chinese government. Last year, they killed 320,000 innocent human beings by surgical abortion, murdered innocent babies. That does not include the babies that died because Planned Parenthood doctors put IUDs, intrauterine devices, inside a woman's abdomen or inside of her uterus. And the IUD works by spinning around in there. So if a woman does conceive, the baby, the new life comes down the fallopian tube and implants in the uterine wall, and then the IUD knocks the child off, and the woman has her regular menses, doesn't even know she was pregnant, but she was. And the baby's dead because of the IUD. So their number of 320,000 doesn't include those babies. It doesn't include the babies who died from chemically induced abortion, from the pill. The regular pill has a backup. The pill works, in case you don't know. The pill works by suppressing ovulation. So a woman doesn't ovulate. But a small percentage of the women do ovulate. They do become pregnant. And then once the baby implants in the uterine wall, in a similar fashion as the IUD, there's a chemical backup inside of the pill that causes the uterine lining to shed, even though the woman is pregnant. And so the new life is discarded, the woman has her menses, and another life is lost. Scientists disagree how many millions and millions of lives have been ended this way, but it's substantial, friends. It's substantial. So that's just a word to the wise. If you know anyone who doesn't understand how the pill or the IUD works, save them the heartache and the guilt of finding out, because they may be involved inadvertently in ending their own child's life. But back to Donald Trump and Planned Parenthood. I have got to take a break, but I want to finish up here. Saying that Planned Parenthood does good things didn't cost anything for Trump, but it's simply not true. You need to understand this. This organization was from the pit of hell from the moment it was started. It was called the Birth Control League. It was started by a woman named Margaret Sanger, who was for all intents and purposes, a whore. And she was an unbelievably immoral woman. You do read biographies on her and you'll see what I'm talking about. Just a very, very immoral woman. And she wanted an organization made in her image where sex and marriage were as connected as the North and South Pole. She wanted to eliminate black people, Jews, Slavs. So she wanted to push birth control inside of those communities to suppress those populations because she called them human weeds. Planned Parenthood today, most of their facilities are smack dab in the middle of African American communities. It's racist. They know what they're doing. Plus, they are teaching 15, 16-year-old girls to throw their bodies around like unpaid prostitutes and teaching young boys to be predators. They are just dispensing birth control so kids can have safe sex in many of the states they're doing it, it's statutory rape, and they just don't care. Okay? This is an immoral organization. And the number of women that they actually help with breast cancer or cervical cancer, it's minuscule. It's minuscule. Go to the Planned Parenthood near you and watch who comes and goes. Just watch. You'll see what I'm talking about. So, Donald Trump, how to have your cake and eat it too, 101. He promised repeatedly in different interviews, he has promised he will defund Planned Parenthood. That is a promise that the Republican base can live with. And he threw a bone to the women who are saying about the good things that Planned Parenthood did, even though he is sadly mistaken in that assertion. I've got to take a break. We'll look at what Trump says about the Supreme Court. Don't go away. Christians must be involved in government, period. If Christians weren't involved in government, we would not have a United States of America. And there have been brilliant Christian minds over the centuries, such as John Locke, who is called the philosopher of American liberty. He was quoted by Clarence Thomas in his recent dissent on the homosexual marriage decision. If we don't understand John Locke, we don't understand the founding of America. I want to send you this book and my book, The Sword, subtitled The Blessing of Righteous Government and The Overthrow of Tyrants. I want to send you these two books for a gift of whatever you can afford. Pay the $8 shipping and handling, which does not cover our costs, and then give a gift of whatever size you want, and we'll send you these books. If you cannot afford anything but the $8, can't even afford that, write us a note, and we'll send them to you for free. I want you to have these books so that you can be better equipped to fight in the political arena. Come on, order them today. Threaten the political lives, the political future of U.S. senators who are Republicans. That's the only way we're going to get them to not cave into Obama regarding the Supreme Court vacancy left by Justice Scalia's death. We have to threaten their political future. I'm not trying to play. By the way, I was so happy. I think Friday I was listening to Sean Hannity. Thank God for Rush and for Sean, friends. So I was listening to Sean, and I was so proud of him. He got into his mic and he said, "You U.S. senators, you listen to me. I am vowing that if you let Obama replace Scalia on the Supreme Court, I, Sean Hannity, will do everything in my power to see that a primary is run against you and you are thrown out of office." I was like, yes, Sean, go get him. He's got a big stick. He's got a way bigger stick than I do with this. I'm more like like a blow dart. But he did it. He said it. And I guarantee you there are other people that are saying it in addition to he and I. And friends, I'm saying to you, please call your U.S. senator. We're going to have a protest in our community this week outside of our Republican senator's office and say, look, if you allow a vote to come up, or if you allow the vacancy to be filled by Obama, we're going to do everything we can to take you out. Because that's it. It's the straw that breaks the camel's back. Now, I want to play for you the clip of Donald Trump regarding the Supreme Court. He uses the same buzz phrases that everyone else does, and it's just weak. Here you go.
Roe v. Wade, do you think it should be overturned? And would you put Supreme Court justices, or would you look at Supreme Court justices that felt that way?
Well, I'm going to put the Supreme Court justices. It's going to take a long time because, obviously we're going to need a lot. This was a big, with Scalia, this was a big shocker to everybody. Nobody had him in mind. This was something that nobody had in mind. And very interestingly, I saw this morning about Republicans where maybe Obama is cracking them down again. I mean, I can't believe what's going on with these people. But, in theory, the Senate has the power. But now all of a sudden they say maybe Obama would be able to get somebody. And I said to myself, here we go again with the Republicans. So, no, I will put people on that are going to be very, very good and constitutionalists, and they're going to do a good job. But it's going to take a long time.
But beyond judges, do you believe Roe v. Wade was wrongly decided back in the day, back in 1973?
Well, I do. I mean, it's been very strongly decided, but, it can be changed. Things are put there and they're passed, but they can be unpassed with time. But it's going to take time because you have a lot of judges to go.
All right, so he does tip his hat to, say to us, look, what's wrong with the Republicans again? See, there he is, firing up the rabble at the gate. But, well, he just uses the same old worn-out phrases. Well, a strong constitutionalist. What does that mean? Obama doesn't say, I'm going to pick a weak constitutionalist. But it's the same words that Ted Cruz uses. Are you hearing me? I am longing for the day when I hear a Republican candidate say, of course we're going to have a litmus test. Of course. I mean, he says he wants to see Roe overturned, but he doesn't specifically say, I will ask the candidate to his face, will you vote to overturn Roe, yes or no? That's the issue, friend. And you know that the Democrats have a litmus test that says, will you promise to uphold Roe? If they do it, why don't we do it? Votes matter, politics matter, opinions matter, ethics matter. Roe versus Wade was the worst Supreme Court decision in the history of this country and unleashed a bloodbath, a murderous bloodbath in our country with 55, 56 million known dead babies right now. And it will prove in the end, when people look back and they look at the judgment of God that falls upon America, that is yet to come, people with a proper sense of history and ethics will look back and say, this is the fruit of the Supreme Court's Roe versus Wade decision. Just like Manasseh in the Bible, who shed innocent blood, and all those babies were killed, and then God finally destroyed Judah because of the sins of Manasseh and the blood that he shed. They will look back to Roe versus Wade and say, this is why the judgment of God has come upon this once great country. I'll be right back. Friend, this TV show represents a mission. It's to be a voice of resistance to the evil in the land, but also to inspire people like you to take a stand at any level that you might be able to equip you, to inspire you, to challenge you, to give you the rhetorical ammunition that you need. But we still have to pay bills. This program, as you know if you're a regular viewer, we don't spend a lot of time raising money. We don't spend a lot of time saying, oh, you need to buy this and we're going to run. No, we're bringing you a message, but we still have bills that we need to pay. I'm asking you, if you have been blessed by this show, to please go to our website or send a check to the address you see on the screen or call the phone number that you see on the screen and use your credit card and to give $50 or $100 or $500 just to help us meet our normal expenses. And we'll keep bringing you this hard-hitting show. Why do we talk so much on this program about politics, about public policy, about the law? Well, the answer is really simple. Look at the Ten Commandments. Do you understand that the first tablet of the law deals primarily with an individual's relationship with God? And the second tablet of the law deals with our relationship with each other. And many of those laws are political in nature. In other words, you shall not bear false witness. If you bear false witness in a court of law, it's a crime. You shall not murder. If you commit a murder, it's a crime. You shall not steal. If you steal, it's a crime. So there are a lot of people in the Christian world, primarily in the evangelical Anabaptist world, that have been led astray in their thinking to think that, this world is of the devil and politics is of the devil and then there's spiritual things. No, this world is spiritual. And laws, social laws, can either reflect the law of God or betray it. Our job is to see that the laws of God are reflected in culture. Because if they're not being reflected, then that means that they're being trashed. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. Those who forsake the law praise the wicked, but those who uphold the law resist them. That's our mission. That's why we spend so much time on this program talking about it.